portal to the beyond. It was a dark and stormy night when the Turner family's lives changed forever. Mark and Mary Turner were fast asleep in their suburban home when a blinding light and deafening noise woke them suddenly. Disoriented, they jumped out of bed and ran to their children's rooms at the end of the hall, only to find them empty with the Star Wars and Disney princess bedspread still neatly made. Their 12-year-old daughter Julie and 10-year-old son Jimmy were nowhere to be found in the house. "What is going on? Where are the kids?" cried Mary as panic set in, her maternal instincts on high alert. Mark rushed to the window and peered out into the darkness through the raindrop-speckled glass. Nothing seemed amiss outside, just wind whipping through the trees and lightning cracking through the night sky. That's when he noticed an eerie glow coming from downstairs where the family room was located. The brand new 70-inch Samsung flatscreen they had bought just yesterday on sale for their family movie nights was emanating an unearthly light. Drawn to it like moths to a flame, Mark and Mary rushed down the carpeted stairs and cautiously approached the flickering TV. To their shock and disbelief, the entire massive screen was filled with an otherworldly alien landscape complete with twisted black trees, murky green skies, and creepy creatures skittering about. Somehow, their state-of-the-art television had become a portal to another dimension. A million panicked thoughts raced through Mark and Mary's heads. Had their children been abducted through this bizarre gateway that had materialized in their own home while they slept just feet away? Were Julie and Jimmy trapped in this alien world now, crying out for their parents? The very idea made their blood turn to ice, but somehow they knew deep down it must be true. Knowing they had to act fast if they had any hope of rescuing their kids, Mark and Mary quickly hatched a brave plan. No matter how dangerous or strange it seemed, they would keep this portal open and travel through themselves to bring Jimmy and Julie home. While Mary hurriedly packed 2 backpacks with essential supplies including flashlights, granola bars, rope, and jackets, Mark grabbed his old aluminum baseball bat from his college years for protection. No telling what creatures lurked on the other side of that portal. Mark then helped drag their heavy oak coffee table across the room to block the TV's screen and keep the interdimensional gateway open. If their calculations were correct, the table's height and width should maintain the signal. With backpacks secured and breaths held, Mark and Mary gave each other one last determined nod. They had to do this, for Jimmy and Julie. Hands clutched tight, the parents stepped onto the coffee table, closed their eyes, and leaped into the flickering abyss. A feeling of free falling through space and time lasted only seconds before the Turners felt solid ground beneath their feet again. Steadying themselves, they opened their eyes to find that they stood in the center of the same dark and foreboding alien landscape they had glimpsed on TV. The sky above them was a murky emerald green, almost like looking up from the bottom of a swamp. Mark and Mary's eyes followed the distinctive black spires that seemed to serve as trees, except they jutted up at odd angles like gnarled hands reaching desperately towards the firmament. Unfamiliar noises echoed from all directions, screeches, howls, and sounds neither animal nor human. The wind whistled eerily between the obsidian branches, almost forming words. Shadowy figures scurried about in the distance just out of view. This place was the stuff of nightmares. Julie, Jimmy. Mark and Mary called out their children's names but heard only the unnatural wind whispering back. They had to find them. Gripping their flashlights, the determined couple began searching for any trace of Jimmy and Julie. The rocky onyx terrain was difficult to navigate in the dark, but Mark and Mary pressed on hour after hour. Strange smells assaulted their noses, sulfur mixed with sickly sweet flowers. Their minds raced with all the awful possibilities. What if a venomous creature had already bitten their children? What if the atmosphere here was toxic to humans? But they couldn't give up hope. As the first of the twin moons rose overhead, Mark and Mary had to take a break to rest their aching legs and feet. They found a relatively sheltered spot between two large boulders and allowed themselves a quick respite. Pulling out the backpacks, they shared one of the granola bars and some water to help regain their strength for the ongoing search. That's when they heard it. Faint cries for help carried on the wind. Jumping to their feet with renewed adrenaline, Mark and Mary rushed towards the source of the calls, stumbling over rocks and roots. The cries grew louder and more clear, until finally the couple discovered an entrance to a large cave nestled between two hills. Peering inside its dark depths, they could make out two small figures huddled together in the rear of the cave. "Julie, Jimmy!" Mark and Mary cried out in relief. It was their children. Using the rope from his backpack, Mark quickly rappelled 25 feet down the cave entrance to reach the kids. They were alive, but clearly terrified and weak from their ordeal. After many comforting hugs, Mark helped Jimmy and Julie grab hold of the rope so he could hoist them up to safety. Mary embraced her children again with tears of joy. "What happened? What is this place?" she asked gently. In frightened voices, Jimmy and Julie described being yanked from their beds by two large creatures with glowing yellow eyes and dragged through an opening portal in the bedroom wall. They had barely slept, too cold and hungry and afraid in this dark cave. But Jimmy and Julie were beyond grateful to see their parents. The family was reunited at last, but they weren't safe yet. They had to somehow find their way back home through the portal still flickering in their family room, an entire alien world away. Huddling close together for warmth and comfort, the Turners slowly navigated their way through the dangerous landscape, hoping for some sign to point them towards the passageway home. The second moon had risen now, sending down emerald beams that cast everything in an eerie, radioactive glow. Strange reptilian creatures stalked the family from the shadows, scurrying just out of the flashlight beam's reach. Mark gripped his bat tightly, ready to defend his loved ones from harm. About a mile into their trek, the weary Turners were ambushed by a band of furry goblin-like creatures who grabbed them with grubby, sharp-nailed hands and dragged the frightened family to their leader. Looming over them was a terrifying sight, a huge beast at least 7 feet tall, covered in dark, matted fur and sharp quills. Ram-like horns curled around a face with both animal and human features. Flashlight beams glinted off the saliva dripping from its snarling mouth filled with jagged teeth. This was Gorba, the ruthless Goblin King who ruled this sector of the dark forest. Fear pumped through the Turners' hearts. What did this monster want with them? In a gravelly voice that sounded like boulders grinding, the Goblin King accused the Turners of trespassing in his lands and attempting to escape back through the portal gateway that only he possessed the power to open and close. Gorba planned to keep the family imprisoned in his cave dungeons for eternity. Mark and Mary pleaded desperately, trying to explain that their children had been abducted against their will to this place. At last, Mary broke down in sobs, begging for mercy and understanding for two innocent kids. Something in the creature's cold yellow eyes seemed to soften for just a moment. Seeing his chance, Mark suddenly smacked Gorba hard in the jaw with his bat and cried out, "Run!" Grabbing the kids, the Turners sprinted away from the howling goblins into the dark wilderness. They ran blindly over the cracking earth and beneath the gnarled trees until Mary noticed the portal gateway shimmering like a mirage in the distance. "There!" she shouted. With goblins fast approaching, the exhausted family leapt as one back into their living room, and the impact knocked the coffee table aside, closing the interdimensional passageway. Sprawled on their family room floor, the Turners held each other tight, scarcely believing they had made it back alive. As the first rays of the rising sun shone through the front windows, they knew the worst was finally over. Mark quickly unplugged the faulty TV while Mary called the police about the kidnapping and their incredible ordeal through the portal gateway. Later, over mugs of hot chocolate, Jimmy and Julie were able to tell their parents all about the frightening alien creatures who had abducted them in the dark of night and held them prisoner in that cave until being rescued. Mark and Mary promised the kids they would always keep them safe no matter what evils tried to tear their family apart. The Turners had survived the sinister portal to the beyond together thanks to their unbreakable bonds of trust and love. Though that terrifying interdimensional passageway was closed for good, they knew somehow deep down inside that their incredible journey was only just beginning. Somewhere out in the infinite cosmic darkness, Gorba and his sinister goblin kingdom were plotting their revenge, waiting for the day the portal might open once more. Not all doorways should be opened, for portals untold unleash horrors of old. Beyond the veil darkness does crawl, devouring hope whence courage does fall. If through the gateway thyself must go, steel thy soul against evil's mortal blow. For only bonded as one unified band can light prevail to close darkness again. Some portals are best left untouched, for we know not what evil may lie in wait beyond the veil. Opening doors that should stay closed can unleash sinister and ancient forces beyond imagination's grasp. Only with unbreakable bonds of love and courage can humankind triumph, should we walk through nightmares to bring back the light. The darkness itself seeks to divide and conquer. United we banish the shadows. So ponder well before crossing the threshold, but have faith good shall prevail against darkness on earth as in realms beyond. Please like, share, and subscribe for more creepy tales from the netherworld. Thanks for your support. Until next time, sweet dreams.